is time for our third and final snake oiler today, which is Mondoo. You can find them at mondoo.com. That's MONDOO.com. And Dominic Richter is the founder of Mondoo, which, as you'll hear, started off as kind of like a policy-related open source project, moved into sort of more vulnerability management and other security functions as well. But now they've got a heavy emphasis on AI-enabled service as software vulnerability management. So the idea here is, I was very interested to hear from these guys because obviously an area that is prime for AI acceleration is going to be vulnerability management because there's a lot of drudgery involved. But also, do you want to just go tell a bunch of agents to go patch things and wish them luck? Probably not. So that's why I thought chatting with Dominic in this Snake Oilers edition would be very interesting. So here is Dominic Richter talking about Mondoo and what it does. Enjoy.
Mondoo is a company about vulnerability management. That's where we started. That's where we grew out of. But the spin that we were taking on it is that we provide it as a kind of agentic service these days. And just in those few words, there's like a lot of things embedded. So it's essentially a fancy way of saying it's a combination of humans plus agents working together and combining their abilities in order to deliver outcomes in the vault space. That's the
so we should set the scene a little bit here, which is that, yours is a company that was founded like a couple of years before the AI revolution and, sprung up out of an open source project. Is that right?
That is right, yes. So we came out of a policy engine that we had created because we saw both vulnerabilities as well as misconfigurations on these systems. That's essentially what you would target in hardening. I used to be a pen tester myself, so I knew that, there is a lot of hard things you can do wrong, and then there is a lot of easy things you can do wrong. And if you do the easy things wrong, you make it easy for me to break through and get deep. And we saw a lot of that. And we wanted to address it. So we created a project to express policies in code and make it so it's independent of the technologies. Because at that point, we had gone through the rise from servers to cloud to containers. Like we saw the writing on the wall. There's more and more tech coming in. So we might as well try to unify it. That's where we got our start.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the idea here was to try to do more unified patch management across like endpoints, Kubernetes, cloud, like whatever, right?
Yeah, that's right. So first, we wanted to help detect your systems, inventory them properly, detect the vulnerabilities, then really clear out the signal. One of the biggest problems is that there's a lot of noise out there with vulnerabilities too. The speed has only gone up. So we wanted to set the focus on what actually matters and what is real. I have been both on the giving as well as on the receiving end of, posting about vulnerabilities that, where I went to my engineering teams and I said, look, I found these critical vulnerabilities. And they're like, I'm sorry, Dom, that's bullshit. That service is not running. That kernel is not live. What are you talking to us? And yeah, we realized you need to make it real for your teams to work together and try to fix it. And that's what we focus on there.
So what have you done to, AIify the Mondoo software? Where and how have you applied it, and what's the outcome of that been?
Right. Okay, so there's a couple of pieces here. The first thing is that if you get a big stream of data coming in, you had it in one of your past podcasts too, by the way, where you talked about threat services. There are a couple of people talking about this, how you find the actual signal within those. We have done something similar for vulnerabilities where we actually look at the vulnerabilities that matter, and we try to make it simple for people. There's a lot of people that claim it. There's a lot of dashboards that will show you oh yeah, here's your, we scored this high. This is a critical, trust us, bro. And so we really try to work with our customers to create something of a Nutri-scoring approach for what matters to them. So typically it is attack surface. Can I reach it somehow? Can I attack this thing? It's blast radius. So if I hack this machine, how much further do I get? Pen testers basically love this one if you can hop from one system to the other. It's business criticality. Does the system matter for you in any way, shape, or form? It's exploitability, i.e., is this thing real? If you give me a CVE, is there an exploit for it? Can I actually take it up? Can I break into this? And lastly, there's news. So if we talk about some CVE or like what we did Shai Hulud recently, right? Like version 2 of it. Then other people know about it. It's getting broadly attacked. You might want to get moving on that issue more quickly. So with all the signal coming in, we used, first of all, the first thing that we do is prioritize and understand your findings and then get you to initiatives. So typically when we go to security teams, they're trying to achieve something. And it's not just about seeing something in a dashboard. Like they, for instance, need to pass an audit, or they need to get their risk down that they currently have, or their Windows systems are horribly out of shape and they don't know how to effectively patch them. Like their entire team has issues there, right? And so we go in and we are not just a dashboard. We're not just a tool. What we are actually treating it as a service. So that's why it's the mix of agentic mechanisms that we have plus the service angle. So we actually look at the customer and we're saying, okay, what are you trying to solve? What do we actually need to help you with? And then using all the data that we have, we're looking for the outcomes. So if an outcome is, for example, that I get your vulnerabilities down by 60% by the end of the year, then that's what we're driving towards. And then the question is only, okay, what are the steps that we take to get there? And that's where we create the plan and we automatically execute it. The automation really comes in through the agents doing a lot of the work, both in the detection, but then also in the fixing. Because a lot of the fixes
so you've talked about the sort of detection and prioritization piece, which is kind of like, that's kind of like co-pilot work, whatever, taking a bunch of signals and, trying to surface, okay, you might want to deal with these ones first, but like,
yeah.
The stuff I'm really interested in is like, how do you then get an agent to go out and start fixing stuff in a way that's sort of predictable, repeatable, and not dangerous, frankly, right?
So the two ways that I've seen, by the way, for the dangerous one too, this is where I've seen a lot of people start. They will just tell their agents, you get control over this machine, go out and do things. And then the agent will, I don't know, hallucinate something in the middle of the night and decide to delete your database. So that's not what we want.
There was a CVE here, so I just vaped the operating system, right? Exactly. No more CVE. Problem solved. Yeah, good work.
It is
agent.
Crazy how these agents and AI, like, it's really gaming the system. Like, it's trying to optimize it. If you tell it to do something, it will try to game it, even if it's doing the thing where you're like, this is really fucking dumb. Like, are you trying to destroy me? Like, if the fastest way to reduce code in your repository is to delete the repo, it's going to be like, here you go. I did the work. And so we ran into a similar problem here because we didn't want the automation to go to this fancy black box that can come up with the craziest actions that you can think of. Like if you just give it admin access and you tell it go do and have fun, like it's going to work 90% of the cases, but there's going to be a few percentages where it's going to delete something that is critical to your business. And that's not going to be fun. And so, okay, so what do we do? Well, I actually come from also from the automation space because platform automation, because after being a pen tester and having so many of these platform teams yell at me about the vulnerabilities, I was like, how hard is this? Like, let me actually switch sides and let's try to automate these systems. And so I went in with automation tools like Ansible, Chef, Terraform later on, and so on. So I got to know all of these cool tools that the engineers on the platform teams have. And so when we started Mondoo, we realized, okay, we're trying to bring these two sides together. But the way in which you roll out the fix, right? Like from a security perspective, I want to push the button that goes and fixes the thing. Awesome. But usually I don't really care about how that happens, or I don't really, like, that's not my specialty. On the platform side, however, I do care about that mechanism. And so in our book, it is a lot of these as code platform automation projects that are out there. So we're trying to push as much of the changes that we're doing through the tools that larger organizations use in order to automate themselves. And again, coming back to the service thing, the cool thing about the service is even if we run into a customer that doesn't have that because they don't have a bunch of Ansible engineers, that's no problem. Like we literally roll it out and we manage it for you so that you don't have to deal with it. The cool thing when you do it as code is that anytime you push a change in, you can actually test and make sure that it doesn't do anything crazy. Like you can't just go and delete the database. Not possible. Why? Because it's not just a black box. Like it's written in code. This is what the code can do. These are its parameters. You can fix these systems. So that's one big angle of it.
So it really sounds like what you are offering here is more like a professional service that is using AI to sort of scale up and be very efficient.
Yeah, and we're doing this in a way where other service providers can consume our platform too in order to provide their own services as well. That's been the idea from the beginning. Like, we didn't just want to make this for ourselves and just build a services model here. We actually wanted to create a service as software kind of model. Like, SaaS, software as a service, that's been like the model in the last 10, 15 years and so on.
Yeah,
and it's
your
now
service is software.
over.
Yeah, no, I get it. Exactly. I get it. I mean, I think that's it's a cool idea. So I guess what it sounds like is you're using the agents at this stage. I guess, it's not just a case of giving them like really privileged credentials and telling them go fix stuff. I guess that's it. You're using them carefully, I guess, is the point here.
We're using them carefully, yeah. Like, you essentially get to see what it's trying to put in place, what it's about to change. There's this whole operational considerations view of the world that we have where, for instance, after we get all the findings, we figure out what you want to do to your systems, and we work with you to say like, okay, let's do A, B, and C, right? Like, not the rest. Then we actually look at, okay, if you do A, B, and C, what are the operational considerations of this system? Do you need restarts? Do these services need to somehow be spun up and spun down? What are some of the implications that you have on your uptime, downtime, and so on? What is the rollback if you need that? And again, all of those learnings come from doing this in the platform automation space for a long time.
Now, of your customers, what percentage of them are driving this themselves versus relying on you for the service component?
So the service component is still fairly new in our playbook. So we used to actually be more of a platform for self-service for the longest time. And then we realized with a bunch of our customers, they just wanted to buy it as a service because it makes it easier for them to consume as well. And so the service part is now growing. I would say 25 to 30% are now moving to a services model. Larger customers, some of the largest ones that we have, like in car manufacturing and telco and so on, they actually drive it themselves. And not only that, they aren't just doing it for themselves, they're doing it for other parts of their organization. So whatever we build, right, like I'm not just building as a service, but we're actually building as a scalable software piece that they can use this way themselves as well.
Yeah, but that would be for the really big companies with presences in like 30 countries sort of thing, right?
That's the situation, yeah. That's how they are.
Yeah, and anyone who's not that is kind of like, you just do it. So of that service, I mean, what are they just getting, their stuff patched? Is that it? They've got an SLA, they just pay you and then it's taken care of?
Mostly yes for patching. It's not just patching though, so I have to be careful about that one as well because patches only go so far. There's also system configuration and hardening, which comes into this as well. Could be, for instance, certificates, SSL, TLS. Maybe there are services on Windows, or for example, if things aren't configured right with your group policies, if we catch them, we can help you fix those as well. So it's not just patching, it's actually system configuration and hardening as well.
All right, Dom Richter, thank you so much for coming along to chat to us about Mondoo and about, I guess, what vulnerability management looks like in the AI age and how you're getting some efficiencies there. Very interesting to chat to you. Thank you.
You as well. Thank you for having me.